What if I told you that Japanese housewives hold a significant influence over global finance? That's right, a largely invisible demographic, the Japanese housewives, or as they're colloquially known, Mrs. Watanabes, are making waves in the foreign exchange market. Imagine a typical day in the life of Mrs. Watanabe. Between managing the household, caring for the children, and the endless cycle of chores, she somehow finds time to delve into the world of finance. Specifically, the foreign exchange market. Now, you might be wondering, how did this happen? How did these housewives become such key players in a market that is usually dominated by slick-suited Wall Street types and corporate conglomerates? Well, it's quite a story of tenacity, intelligence, and a keen instinct for market trends. Here's the surprising part. These women aren't just participating in the market, they're influencing it. Their collective financial prowess has become a force to be reckoned with. When Mrs. Watanabe moves, the market moves with her. And this isn't a small-scale operation. We're talking about billions of yen changing hands each day. These women are trading in volumes that rival those of large financial institutions. And they're doing it all from the comfort of their own homes, often while preparing dinner or helping the kids with homework. They've become so influential that economists and market analysts keenly watch their activities. When Mrs. Watanabe buys, they take notice. When she sells, they brace for impact. The decisions of these housewives have a ripple effect that extends far beyond the shores of Japan. So next time you think of global finance, don't just picture Wall Street or the City of London. Picture Mrs. Watanabe in her kitchen, a warm cup of tea by her side, monitoring the fluctuations of the yen against the dollar, and subtly yet powerfully influencing the course of the world's economy. Behind the scenes of global finance, these women are quietly shaping the world's economy. But how did a group of homemakers come to wield such power in the world of finance, you might ask? Well, let's embark on a journey to the land of the rising sun, Japan, to uncover the rise of a force to be reckoned with, the phenomenon known as Mrs. Watanabe. The term Mrs. Watanabe is a colloquial label used by financial pundits to describe Japanese housewives who took the world of finance by storm. Now you may wonder, what drove these women to step into a realm predominantly dominated by men and professional investors? The story begins in the late 90s and early noughties. Japan at the time was grappling with an economic slump, and the country's central bank had set interest rates at near zero levels. This meant that traditional savings accounts yielded very little returns. In a society where managing household finances is often the responsibility of women, these housewives found themselves in a tricky situation. They had to ensure that their family's hard-earned money didn't just sit idle, losing value over time. So what did they do? They sought profitable ventures elsewhere, and they found it in the foreign exchange market. With the advent of the internet, these women were no longer confined to their homes. They had access to global markets at their fingertips. They began trading currencies, taking advantage of the higher interest rates offered by other countries, outsmarting global finance from their kitchen tables. The rise of Mrs. Watanabe wasn't just about making money, though. It was about empowerment, about breaking barriers. These women, often underestimated and overlooked, showed the world that they were more than just homemakers. They were savvy investors capable of navigating the complex world of finance. And so, Mrs. Watanabe emerged, not as an individual, but as a collective symbol of Japanese housewives who refused to let their money sit idle. They found a way to make their money work for them, in a place no one expected. So, what's their secret? How do they outsmart the global finance market? Well, the investment strategies of these Japanese housewives, collectively known as Mrs. Watanabe, aren't shrouded in complex financial jargon or convoluted algorithms. No, their approach is simple, conservative, yet incredibly effective. You see, Mrs. Watanabe doesn't gamble. She doesn't play the market, and she certainly doesn't rely on risky investments. Instead, she leans toward stable, high-yielding currencies. She makes her moves based on careful research, meticulous planning, and a keen understanding of global economic trends. This conservative approach might not sound like the stuff of Wall Street legends, but it's the reason why Mrs. Watanabe has been able to outsmart the global finance market time and time again. Let's delve a little deeper into her strategy. Mrs. Watanabe's preference for high-yielding currencies isn't random. It's a calculated move. She understands that currencies from countries with high interest rates often offer better returns, so she keeps a close eye on the global economy, watches for shifts in interest rates, and makes her move when the time is right. But it's not just about picking the right currency. Mrs. Watanabe also knows when to hold on and when to let go. She understands that the key to success in the forex market is patience. She doesn't rush to sell when the market fluctuates. Instead, she waits for the right moment when her investment has reached its maximum potential. And despite the volatility of the forex market, Mrs. Watanabe remains unfazed. She doesn't let market fluctuations dictate her decisions. Instead, she sticks to her strategy, trusting in her research, her analysis, and her instincts. In a world where high-risk, high-reward investments are often glorified, Mrs. Watanabe stands as a testament to the power of conservative, calculated investing. She's not looking for a quick win, she's playing the long game, and as history has shown, she's winning. Their strategy, safe bets and steady gains, and their influence isn't just theoretical, it's had real-world impacts. These Japanese housewives, termed as Mrs. Watanabe, have caused ripples in the global economic pond, from currency rates to significant economic events. Let's dive deeper to understand the magnitude of their influence. Imagine a group of housewives sitting in their living rooms with their laptops, quietly shifting the gears of the world economy. Yes, that's the power these women wield. Their collective actions have influenced the yen's value, one of the most traded currencies in the world. When Mrs. Watanabe invests her money in foreign currencies with higher interest rates, the yen weakens. This yen carry trade, as it's called, has become a crucial part of Japan's economic strategy. But their influence doesn't stop at Japan's borders. The global economy has felt the effects too. For instance, in 2008, when the global financial crisis hit, Mrs. Watanabe's collective decision to pull their investments out of riskier assets and back into the yen contributed to the currency's rapid appreciation. This sudden surge in the yen's value had a domino effect. It deepened the recession in Japan and also affected countries with strong trade ties to Japan. Their actions have even been linked to economic events like the taper tantrum in 2013. When the US Federal Reserve hinted at slowing down its bond purchases, it sent shockwaves through the global markets. Mrs. Watanabe, fearing a rise in US interest rates, pulled their money out of emerging markets, causing currencies from Brazil to Turkey to plummet. It's not just about the money, it's about the power to influence, to change the course of events, and to make a mark on the world stage. And that's exactly what Mrs. Watanabe has done. The actions of these housewives have rippled across oceans, affecting economies worldwide. Their story is a testament to the power of collective action. It's a reminder that anyone, even a group of housewives, can have a significant impact on the world. It's the tale of how Mrs. Watanabe outsmarted global finance. So what can we learn from these savvy Japanese housewives? A question that echoes through the corridors of global finance, reminding us of the power held in the most unexpected places. The legacy of Mrs. Watanabe is not just about the financial prowess they demonstrated, but it's also about challenging norms. These women, who were once confined to the domestic sphere, ventured into the high-stakes world of finance, and they did it with flair. They didn't just dip their toes into the waters of global finance, they dove in headfirst, making waves that rippled across the world. They proved that to be successful in finance, you don't need a Wall Street background or a business degree from an Ivy League school. All you need is an analytical mind, a thirst for knowledge, and the courage to take risks. Their story is a testament to the fact that financial acumen can be found anywhere, even in the comfort of your own home. These women were not just housewives dabbling in finance. They were economic forces to be reckoned with. They transformed the landscape of global finance, influencing currency markets and shaping economic policies. They were the David standing up to the Goliath of global finance, proving that even the seemingly weak can topple giants. They taught us that the world of finance is not a men's club, but a playing field open to all. They showed us that with the right skills and mindset, anyone can navigate the choppy waters of global finance and come out on top. The legacy of Mrs. Watanabe is a beacon of hope for all those who feel marginalized or underestimated. It's a reminder that anyone, regardless of their background or circumstances, can make a difference in the world, as long as they have the courage to try. So remember, the next time you think about global finance, think about Mrs. Watanabe, think about the power of the individual, and remember this: in the world of finance, Mrs. Watanabe proves that power isn't always where you expect it to be.